Call the meeting to order. Town of Acton Main Select Board via Zoom, May 13th, 2020. First item is salute the flag. Yep. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic
which stands
under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Justice for all.
Okay. Town Administrator Weekly Update. Jen, the floor is yours. Good. Go ahead.
All right. So a little bit out of order on a couple of things today. I'm hoping, with your permission, Ed, that I can incorporate a public request statement at the beginning, only because it kind of addresses the warrants, and I think it's a good time for you to answer it so that it doesn't look like we're just ignoring it. So, yes. I guess a few things to talk about. The first thing is regards to the Warrant and Finance Committee. As the selectmen are aware, you currently have a policy that basically says that if any committee wants any documents from any town employee, that essentially they have to vote on it at a committee meeting, and then they contact the town administrator, and we get them whatever documents they need. With the timeline that the Warrant and Finance has been given, and them doubling up on a couple of meetings to try to get these recommendations so that we can get them on ballots, they're asking that be waived for this period, so that they don't have to wait for a meeting to vote to determine, what they may or may not want from the town. So that was the first thing I was hoping you'd discuss.
Okay, we can discuss that right now. Yeah, I attended the meetings via Zoom the other night. I think Kim was there too. And it is a little cumbersome right now, just the way things are in trying to get the information back and forth. So my thought is they wanted to be able to get the information. So if they had any. So anyway, my thought is that as long as we're going through a chair of the committee and only the chair, he can, if someone on his committee wishes some information, they get that request to the chair, and the chair brings it to the town administrator, for wherever it needs to go from that point. I think would work right now, and then we go back to the normal way of doing things once we get back to the town hall and get things up and running the way it normally was. Kim and Dave, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think last night there was a meeting with the rec, and this kind of came up too, because they got some decisions to make quickly. So I think for the time being, just while this is going on, it would be okay.
Okay. Dave?
I guess that would work as long as if the chair, everybody on the committee gets the information the chair gets. Meaning, so say if the chair comes in and wants certain information, I think that information should be dispersed to all the committee members. That would be
definitely. That was the situation the other night with the Warrant and Finance. One individual on the committee requested information from a department head. He got a very extensive report, upwards of 40 pages, and it didn't go any further, except to maybe one other person. And the rest of the committee did not get the information. That's why it needs to go to the chair, and from the chair to the town administrator. And then I think to go one step further, when the information goes back from the town administrator, it goes back to every department, every committee member at that time. And probably the request ought to go as well. I mean, from the very beginning.
And the full board of selectmen will be CC'd on it.
Yeah.
All right. Then we're all in it. That's a good idea.
Yeah. Yeah. Because that was not good the other night, where one person had all this information and basically held up the meeting for a good length of time. Fortunately, the information was requested from our fire chief. He's tech savvy. he was able to email that right off to every member of the board while we were still in the meeting. So, but it didn't give the members of the board a chance to review the information and go from there.
So am I to understand it, Ed, that you want the committee chairs to contact you directly, and then you're going to contact me with the specific instruction of what they're looking for?
No, I would have them contact you like they've always done in the past. And then
Okay.
you just
And then-
simply keep us in the loop.
Okay, so I don't need to, when a committee chair reaches out to me for information, am I to call you and get the okay, or just gather the information and send it out and be sure to include the board?
I guess I'll leave that up to the other two members. What's your thoughts, Kim and Dave?
As long as she sent,
Go ahead, Kim.
I was gonna say, I'm fine with, when she gets a request, as long as she sends it to us, we're made aware. That way she doesn't have to call us. I mean, we know it's in our email.
Yep.
So I don't know about you, Dave. Go ahead.
As long as the request is pertinent to the budget,
Yes.
to be, and that's the issue that I after watching some of that meeting, that I apologize for missing. I had another engagement. I want to make sure that the finance committee is staying on the budget and not on other personal vendettas or whatever. So as long as it pertains to the budget, then I guess it would be fine. And if there's a question on that, then whether or not it pertains to the budget or not, then I'd like to be notified.
Yeah. Okay.
Got it.
That clear? Okay.
I'll send out an email to the chairs tomorrow and let them know.
Great. Thank you.
In regards to emails to chairs and departments or chairs and committees, I wanted to let you know that I did send out an email to all of the department heads and committee chairs, letting them know that even though we're doing Zoom meetings, that you're still, open to any updates that the committee wants to give, so that they need to just reach out to me if they choose it to want to say something during one of your meetings. So I didn't hear from anybody last week, or this week, so but they have been notified that offer is there should they want it. The next one, kind of going back to Warren and Finance, is one of the requests that came up from the meeting last night. And as we recall, last year at the annual town meeting, the voters of Acton voted to approve 7th Street to make it become a town road. They went through the petition process. We turned it all over to legal. Everything was done and reviewed, and eventually the voters voted to accept the road. So with that being said, at the Warren and Finance meeting last week, I did get a request from one of the members that he would like to see all the deeds and all of the documents, anything that we have on 7th Street tied to it being accepted, specifically the deeds. I have a 7th Street folder. I essentially was just going to scan and send it over to him. I did hear from one of you, though, that kind of indicated that that's, above and beyond. So I was hoping the board could discuss it. The Warren and Finance Committee members' thoughts is that it is pertinent to this year's budget because 7th Street is now being town maintained and it's part of the money in this year's budget. The flip side of that is, what's the purpose of reviewing all the deeds at this point if the voters have already accepted it in an article last year? So, looking for advice from the board.
Dave?
I did have concern with that because if we're going to point out one road and there's nothing in the budget strictly saying that, saying, okay, we're going to spend this much money on 7th Street, other than the general maintenance that any other road would get, then I'm kind of boggled by the idea that we're going to go out and send all this information out, which all we have to do is really send the letters showing that our lawyers said everything was done legit. And then remember, I wasn't on this board when this was put on the article. When this article was put on the warrant, but I was part of town meeting and I did support it. But this is why I have a hard time with the idea that we're going to have people, the chair just come in and say, we want this, we want this, we want this, we want this, when where is this pertinent? The town voted on this last year. We discussed it even after the vote. We've given everybody ample opportunity. If there was an issue on it, one person on this committee shouldn't take the whole committee hostage unless that's why we have that the committee should be voting on that, because the rest of the committee probably doesn't have an issue with it. That's why we should be voting on it, but we can't, obviously. We're trying to, make it so the information is accessible. I do just have a problem with this one here. There was an issue with this, and it should have been brought up a long time ago. But this is just general maintenance. There's no big projects on this road, so I don't understand it, I guess. Maybe I'm confused.
Kim? Any thoughts?
Well, I feel like it's already all said and done. I don't really feel the need to kind of dig back into it again.
Next time I go down.
So
Okay.
I don't see what it has to do with this year's budget, I guess. And
Yeah, I'm on the same feelings as well. I mean, you're not gonna, I don't see how you could change the budget based on the fact that the town voted at a town road.
it's not like we have to put any more money into the roads to take care of that road.
Right.
I mean, I can't. So
That was the point that I was trying to make, that it's not like, okay, we have a separate article that we're going to be putting forward to put
Right.
$100,000 paving on it. It's just plowing and sanding the road at this point, maybe picking a tree up now and then. So what I'm looking at here is I'm like, well, okay, well, if we're going to jump into this, what is next? And if the town voted on it last year, it's a fresh, brand new vote. The individuals at that meeting, I'm sure. And, but I mean, honestly, if they're requesting it, I don't know, we can refuse them. So, I just find it kind of odd.
Yeah, I agree. I think probably releasing, give them the information, but it's not gonna make much difference, I don't think, in the course of the budget. So, okay.
So release whatever we have on it. We're just not going to spend any more time on.
Yep.
right.
They start questioning the process or how it was accepted, I'll just send them back to you.
Yep. Sounds good.
All right, so as you know, we have kind of done what we're calling a soft opening the last 2 weeks. We have been open on Tuesdays and Thursdays by appointment only. We've been upstairs in the clerk's office. We've been scheduling them every 15 minutes, and right now we're booking out in about 2 weeks, so we're staying pretty busy. Code enforcement has set up an area downstairs so that as soon as you walk in, you're barricaded into a small box with one of those clear plexiglass set up so that the individuals can't go any further than that. They sit at a desk, they get their permit and so forth. And we're trying to get them as much as we can via the mail and the internet. One of the issues that, we're running into upstairs is that staff is asking everybody that calls in, are you a resident of Acton? Yes. Well, the answer becomes no. Have you been in Maine for 14 days? Have you quarantined? And what we're finding with a lot of our seasonal property owners is that they want to come to Maine and live at their house that they pay taxes on. They don't want to go into the stores. They don't want to, going out and about in the community. They want to come to their lake house and, quarantine there and, spend time on the lake. But they have new boats that they want to register, and you can't do those online. But they're not here for 14 days. Some of them are coming just for the weekend. They're saying they're bringing enough food and supplies. They're going straight to their camp, and they're not going anywhere else during the weekend. But they have these transactions that they want to happen. So I'm looking, so currently we're not doing any of those. We're telling them that the selectmen have given us instruction that if you haven't met the governor's order of the 14-day quarantine in the state, that, but that's only going to go over so long, so long.
Right.
Looking for input and wanted to make sure that's still the direction of the board.
Well,
Yeah, I don't want to put anybody in the town hall in harm's way. And if they haven't quarantined for 14 days, then that's the rules.
Right.
Not set by us, set by the governor. So I think at this point, I'd still hang on to that. Now, if they buy a new boat under the governor's order, do they in fact have to register it right now, or does that fall under the 30 days after the
So the executive order only covers motor vehicles. It does not cover anything from inland fisheries. Inland Fisheries and Wildlife released a statement the last week of April reminding the residents and the clerks that effective May 1st, you had to be registered and legal. So there is no extension on the inland fisheries piece anymore.
Okay.
I like to jump in on this.
Yep. Oh, yeah. We're going to have a chance. Go ahead.
I know it's a real bummer that they got a brand new boat and they can't register it because of the 14-day quarantine and all that. I know some people in town who like to open their businesses up and they can't. And they got way more than what a boat costs invested in their businesses right now. And they're not being allowed. So, I mean, at the end of the day, we have to do what the state tells us we're going to have to do. And if they're not abiding by the state the quarantine, then they're breaking the law. And, I mean, it's just the nature of the beast right now is, you know, just because they're coming up and they got a brand new boat and they got a place on the lake doesn't make them any more special than anybody else right now. And unfortunately, we have to do what we got to do. And I don't believe that there's a reason why we're not opening up right now in Maine. That the excuse that we have right now, the reason why we're not opening up is because of the outbreak in Boston. Okay, so for us to allow them to come up and register boats and stuff like that is defeating the whole purpose right now of trying to get open back up. So I think we ought to stick with what we have.
Okay. Kim?
Yeah, I don't think anything should change right now. I mean, I know it's hard to tell people that they can't register their boats, but it's what, you know, we're being told in the state, this is what we have to do. So, I mean, we have to follow the law. So, until we hear something different.
I mean, most of these people, most of the people that, you know, some of the people that we're telling that to, they'll just hang up and call back until someone different answers, and then they'll answer the question differently.
Yeah, well, they're going to get the same answer because we're not doing it.
No, they'll answer the question differently when we ask them if they've been in Maine for 14 days.
Yeah.
I mean, out of 50 transactions on Tuesday, probably 30 of them were non-residents.
Yeah. Well,
and there's no way we can prove.
No, they're right, and that's the thing. So in staff, I mean, I'm not going to lie. It's uncomfortable. It's, you know what I mean?
Then why don't we just say we're not any no out-of-state transactions at all? That's that.
Because what if some of them say they have been here? I mean, they could legitimately be out of work and be here. I mean, that's the thing. I don't know how to prove that.
Well, it's
and remember,
probably,
they're such a huge part of your tax base, and you know.
Yeah, but they're not they're not going anywhere. You know, it's. I hate to say it, but you know it's just the way it is right now. You know, so.
Unfortunately, at the end of the day, as long as we do our part, people are going to lie. They're going to do whatever to get their way. But as long as we stick by what we're supposed to be sticking by, we're doing our part. We can't stop people from lying and say they've been here for months or whatever. I just feel it'd be bad policy to change because of what we're supposed to be doing.
Okay, we'll keep trucking along.
Okay.
So the next one kind of goes along with it as far as reopening. So the last 2 weeks we have been just Tuesdays and Thursdays by appointment only. That seems to be working well for us. Seems to be working well downstairs. I'm not hearing any backlash from anybody that that they're having to wait too long or that we're not accessible. So it's my recommendation to the board that we continue for the month of May. We continue to be appointments only. Tuesdays and Thursdays, and just, see what happens the 1st of June. You probably haven't seen it in your email yet because we just sent it, but the governor did extend the state of emergency through June 11th, about an hour ago.
Yep.
So, in looking at neighboring municipalities, we're probably right about down the middle. There is probably in York County, more than half of them that are planning on reopening June 1st. There's another handful that are currently open by appointment only. There's some that never closed. I mean, it's kind of, here, there, and everywhere. We've got to do what's best for the staff and the residents. But but it's interesting to watch the people come in. I mean, they want to be in and out, a lot of them, especially the year-round residents, they want to be in and out just as quick. They're not touching anything. They've got their mask on. Everybody it's been great. So we're trying to take the time in between to sanitize between everybody. So I think it's going okay, and would like to continue it for a little while longer.
Yep. No, sounds good. You let us know when you feel comfortable opening more. So.
Okay. You good with that, Kim, David?
I'm fine with that.
As long as you're fine with it.
Dennis Donald was in yesterday. He spent a better part of the day there catching up. We have been communicating with him via email. Every homestead that's come in, tree growth, any assessing issue, we've been scanned and sent over to him. He's working remotely at all. He wanted me to let the board know that he's still on track for tax commitment and to have all his April 1st work done. They are doing site visits. They're not going inside the house, but they are still working right along. So they don't see any problems going into our tax commitment as far as having all the numbers ready.
Okay. Good.
The town report.
Yeah.
So good news is that the printer opened back up. Woohoo! And yay! So it will be sent this week. Some hell and high water, somehow it'll be sent. So hopefully you've looked at it by now. We have this little piece, and we won't say anything out loud because it is such a big deal. And this year it's so special. Remember our dedication. So just start thinking about the back of your mind how we might handle that for this individual, so that we can still do some sort of surprise with it. So. Last thing I have, because we have tons to talk about with the warrant, is regarding the transfer station. I did meet with the superintendent today and a couple of times earlier in the week. He is looking at some different options of reopening the recycling. As you know, he's taking cardboard right now. He's looking at setting some tables and tents up. He's got a flyer that he hand wrote to me that we're going to be typing up that basically talks about asking people to have their stuff already pre-separated before they get into the building, so it'll be quicker. We're talking about how many people, should possibly be in that building at once. He doesn't think that masks are necessary inside there, but certainly as a selectman, you have the right to trump that. But he is, he's looking at within trying to tie everything up so that he can reopen. But he thinks it's still a little early.
Okay. Yeah, I think masks are definitely the way to go inside the building. I'm more concerned inside a confined space than I am outside.
Right.
So, yep. Okay. Anything else, Kim or Dave, on that?
Am I telling them that if they're outside the recycling building, they will wear masks when we reopen?
I would think so, yeah. You're fading in and out again, Jen, too, by the way.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Really bad sometimes.
Sorry.
Just to a whisper. I think masks until further notice inside, yeah.
I agree.
Dave?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if there's probably no other way to, you do the mask. I know all the stores and stuff we're going to and stuff, they got some little curtain or something there in front of them. I don't know if that would help them, but yeah, I think probably the mask, probably a good idea for this right now.
Yep. Okay.
All right, that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay. Nothing else? That's quick. Okay, warrants and bills. I was in last night and signed, Kim and Dave. I think Kim was already in and signed at some point.
Yep.
Dave, you been in? Okay.
Yeah.
So that's all set. Michelle, you've probably seen those all ready to go. So.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, approval of the agenda. We can probably take that off of here
Okay.
moving forward this way because we're not, well, actually, approval of the agenda we have to do. So, there's nothing else we add on, so disregard that. So, approval of the agenda.
I make a motion to approve the agenda for May 6th.
I'll second that.
That would be May 13th. Actually,
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
I was a minutes of the last meeting. I'm sorry. I'm a step ahead.
Yep. Okay, so May 13th. Okay, moved and seconded to approve the agenda for May 13th. Any discussion? Call for a vote. Kim?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
I vote yes. Okay. Okay, department heads and committee chair updates. Anything there, Jen?
Minutes?
Oh, yeah, that's what I get for checking it off too soon. Minutes of the last meeting, and I think, did we have minutes of another meeting prior to that? 3 of them.
I've emailed you
Yeah.
3 sets. March
Yep.
I
11th.
went through them.
Yep.
I read through all of them today and everything looked good, so I'll make a motion to accept the minutes from March 7th, March 16th, and May 6th. Oh, wait a minute, no, it's March 11th, March 16th,
March
and May
11th, yeah.
6th. Yeah.
Yep. I'll second that.
Okay, move to second. Just run those dates by me one more time.
Sure, the 11th of March, the 16th of March, and then May 6th.
Okay, move to second to approve the minutes of March 11th, March 16th, and May 6th. Any discussion? Call for a vote. Kim?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
I vote yes. Okay. Now we're down to department heads, committee chair updates. I know it says tabled on here, but I just double checking with you, Jennifer, to make sure. What's that? Okay, old business. Warrant.
So, before we get into the warrant, this was the piece that comes from the public, but it's tied to the warrant, so I think it's the right time to discuss it because you've got a legal opinion at the same time. So with your permission, Ed.
Go right ahead.
All right, so we received an email on May 12th from one of the members of the Warrant and Finance Committee that says, Board of Selectmen and Town Administrator, the further we move closer to town meeting, the more I see the rights of the voters are being diminished. There will be no floor debate of the pros and cons of articles. Zoom hearings will be a zoo if what we have seen for a dozen people is an example. The Warrant Committee is not having proper time to do their job efficiently. Sure, we can get it done, but it won't be a thorough analysis of the budget, what the taxpayers are probably expecting the Warrant and Finance Committee to do. Once again, no time to do a quality analysis of the budget. This is because of time constraints of doing the town meeting this way. In a previous letter, I asked about the cost of doing an election. There wasn't any appropriate estimate. The cost of last year's election was $5,783. This year, there is a cost for voting machines, special ballots, sanitizing elections, booths, masks, pencils needed to change after each voter. Could the cost be $8,000 to $9,000? The idea that voting on the items are either up or down gives me concern. This process allows for the voters to vote down any budget, such as fire, and that department would cease to operate, no fire department. In the letter to MMA, to Governor Mills, it states that the legislation passed doesn't authorize any new spending. There are 4 proposals in the letter for changing the governor could change the executive order to allow spending. As of today, there isn't any executive order pertaining to this. A legal opinion, I assume you have asked for, should state statute and case law to support his or her opinion. I am requesting a copy of that legal opinion, and at the town meeting will be legal. The letter also states the law would have to change to allow remote participation of public hearings. It has become apparent that the Board of Selectmen have decided that it is a benefit to the taxpayers that we need to spend extra monies for elections because we need the new expenditures now instead of waiting for a later date. I don't think the people of Acton were considered in making this decision. We are spending extra dollars for the election. We may have to repeat if there's a down vote. The money saved by budget reductions are being respent up at a level to keep the tax rate flat. We are not keeping a flat budget. I would like to see some forethought on planning on the infrastructure such as roads, bridges, and culverts. This has been a problem for years, and we are looking to solve it now more than 10 years later. So that's the letter that was submitted by Arnold Burr. And you should have that in your packet. So, last night when this came in, I sent this to legal, and it says, this is from me. Hello. Please see the letter below from a member of one of our Warrant and Finance committees. I would ask that you reply to paragraph 4, although I have pointed them to section 2528, which allows the Board of Selectmen to call an annual open town meeting to a secret ballot. The committee is looking for more. Can you advise? And then I went on to say, I apologize for not getting Llewellyn's opinion in writing the first time. Possibly see notes over the last 2 weeks as he has already addressed this. So that went to legal. And just so that you know, when we email Maine Municipal, there is a pool of lawyers. So we never know that the same one is going to see it. That's why I threw that in there. All right. Michelle, do you have this up in front of you?
The opinion?
Yeah.
No, I don't have the opinion up.
Okay.
I do.
I was going to have you read it. Okay. Jennifer, Mr. Murray's reference to PL 2019 C617, the emergency legislation passed on March 17, is a non-sequitur. His is correct that the emergency legislation does not authorize any new spending, but this limitation only applies to situations where the annual town meeting is indefinitely postponed, making it necessary for last year's budget to serve as the budget for the ensuing year. By contrast, Acton will hold a town meeting referendum and vote on the budget articles for the ensuing year, meaning that Acton's residents are approving new spending. Since Acton has adopted the secret ballot method pursuant to 30A MSRA 2528, it is perfectly legal for the municipal officers to order a particular article or articles to be placed on the secret ballot instead of holding an open town meeting, provided that they do so at least 60 days before the election date and hold a public hearing 10 days before the election, with 7 days notice of the hearing. The public hearing required for secret ballot referendum elections is usually a meeting of the municipal officers, the selectmen, not a town meeting. So our view is that the hearing could and should be conducted remotely, but in compliance with all notices and access requirements of PL 2019-617, the emergency legislation enacted March 17, as follows. MSRA 403A enacted through remote access during declaration of state of emergency due to COVID-19. Remote access. Notwithstanding any provision of law or municipal charter, provision or ordinance, during the state of emergency declared by the governor in accordance with Title 37B, due to the outbreak of COVID, a body subject to this subchapter may conduct a public proceeding through telephone, video, electronic, or other similar means of remote participation under the following conditions. Notice of the public proceeding has been given in accordance with Section 406. Each member of the body who is participating in the public proceeding is able to hear and speak to the other members during the public proceeding. The body determines that the participation by the public through telephone, video, electronic, or other means is allowed, and all votes taken during the public proceeding are taken by roll call. Application to legislation proceedings. This section does not apply to public proceedings. Let's see. The section also does not apply to town meeting pursuant to 38. Please do not hesitate to call if you have any questions. And I will send that to Mr. Murray. So they have given you, so I guess a couple of things. Let's go back to the voting because I didn't answer that. When we think about that, what additional costs doing this by secret ballot, what is it going to take? That's a specific question. So as far as the masks, the sanitizers, the plastic coverings, all of those safety precautions, that's something that Augusta is already handling because we have a primary that day. So us adding a ballot has no additional cost as far as safety measures because those would have already been in place. We have candidates that we have to elect, and that's going to happen regardless of how you choose to vote on your annual town meeting. So there's no extra cost in that piece of it because it's already happening. Michelle will tell you that anything COVID related through FEMA, we're going to be eligible for an 85% reimbursement. So we 90%. Are having 90%. Sorry, thank you. 90% reimbursement. So we are renting another voting machine, a DS200. We're doing that because of ranked choice voting. We can't use the same machine. So we would have had the option, since we have a candidate ballot. Let's think about this for a second. So we have a candidate ballot, and we could have had a recall ballot, and we could have had a petition for the road salt. So as clerk, if I had all those three in front of me, forget about town meeting for a minute, all three of those in front of me, would that have been enough if COVID never happened for me to rent a DS200 to probably process those? Probably. because it's more effective, it's more efficient, it's a time saving, it's a money saving. So renting that, really the benefit here of renting this DS200 now is that FEMA's going to pay us back 90% of it. So we could have incurred that $1,350 rental fee either way, because I have the option in my budget to rent it just for the other machines, for the other ballots. But now that we have this long annual town meeting, of course we're going to rent it. So that is an extra cost. Mr. Murray is correct, 90% of which will be reimbursed. As far as the ballots, we would have sent our candidate ballots away, any petition ballots, the recall ballots, any of that would have been sent away anyways. So you're looking at one extra ballot that would have been printed, and probably between $300 and $500, depending on the amount of ballots that we actually request. With that said, I now have to do the flip side. I have to do the flip side. I'm sorry. The flip side of that is that at 8 o'clock, at 8 o'clock at night, you know, even if we don't have an annual town meeting ballot, at 8 o'clock at night, I'm bringing in people to hand count all those individual ballots. It's a lot of work. You know, you're doing each lot of 50 twice after counting them and sorting them and organizing them. You know, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. So the hourly rate of those clerks, those election clerks, is only, you know, $12, $14 an hour, and you have maybe what, 6 to 8 people, depending on how many questions we end up with. So it's probably just as much money to rent that machine than to efficiently hand count that many ballots. And again, if we didn't have all of the state primary already, he would be right. There would be added costs with sanitizers and masks and those kind of things. But that's already being covered because there was already an election. So any other time it would be added cost, but this time it's part of it. So I hope, Mr. Murray, I answered those election questions okay. As far as the rest of it, the board have any thoughts on this opinion? I can let them know.
Dan, oh, you got it.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, I got muted. Anyway, I know there's a lot of people like to do that. Anyway, here we go. Okay, so we're still on warrants, and you just answered a lot of the questions there.
Opinion?
Pardon?
Do you have any questions on the legal opinion?
No, I mean, that's the third time now we've contacted MMA about the same question, and we've had 3 different attorneys give us the same exact information. There's nothing we wanted to do. It's not our fault. As Warren Finance has said, that this is our fault and we are the ones forcing this. We're not. This is being forced by the state, by the governor, by the COVID. So it's out of our hands. It's the safest way to do it. And I don't feel as though waiting until September, October, November to have an election. That's not fiscally responsible as well. Like I said earlier, we have hopefully a window of opportunity here. We've already got one election. We got the election happening anyway. So we're just staying right on task. It's something we have to do. So
We're not the only town that's doing this either.
no.
There are lots of towns that are going from town meeting to this. You know, I did some research the other night just to kind of see, you know, where other towns are at. And there's quite a few just in our area that are doing it.
Conway, New Hampshire just recently had an election. They had over 1,000 people that voted. They did absentee ballots, and then they did a drive-through ballot. We're not looking to do a drive-through, but you drove into a garage, you picked up your ballot, you went out, you voted, and you came back and deposited it back again. They had over 1,000 people. When was the last time we had 1,000 people at an Acton town meeting? So not that we'll have 1,000, we'll have a goodly number of people. This is actually opening up town meeting to far more people as far as the accessibility and ease of accessibility than it ever has been in the past. So anything to add, Dave?
Yep. I guess at the end of the day, the email we've sent this 3 times. That's 3 times we've given this opinion out, I believe.
Yep.
So
3 times that we got it from MMA.
So this line here, I got a couple here. I've kind of, you know, the 5783, and then just assuming it's going to be almost double the money just because the idea that the voting on items are either up or down gives me concern. This progress allows the voter to vote down any department budget, fire, and the department could cease to operate, fire department. Now, I've been to a lot of town meetings. We could vote down the fire department at a regular town meeting. And what do you do from there? It's just no different, is there? I mean, we don't revert back to last year's budget if they voted down at town meeting, right?
No.
So, I mean, it's not changing anything here. You know, instead of waiting for a later date, you know, we've got a window here. I think we're trying to merge it with the state. If we're doing a state, we might as well do the town at the same time. It just makes sense. And, you know, I mean, it's funny how we send this information from MMA to them and to this member of the finance committee. But when the finance committee asks MMA for something, and they run with that, but they don't believe it when it goes against them. So this is kind of a dead issue. I mean, we're doing what we have to do.
Okay. So we had one item on here that we were still discussing. That is going to be Article 38, I believe it is. And that's the
Where am I here?
wages for the public works or road commissioners.
And we actually have a couple other minor things that have come up. But if you flip to page 8 where Ed said Article 38, and then you go to the end of your warrant, you'll see a page that says Example A. The current warrant, the way it's written, is based on the changing things over to independent contractors. David did ask me today why that's how it ended up in the warrant, and the truthful answer to that was the last time the 5 of us got together, Michelle included with the road commissioners, we thought that was the direction. We understand things have changed, but just so you know, that's how it ended up in there. The Exhibit A is last year, so it's a very simple to swap out should the board choose. Those are your two documents.
I'm just looking over the warrant here, just that particular one. So 38, okay. So we have discussed back and forth how we wanted to do this. A couple of years ago, this came up, and we were discussing changing the rates, changing the way that we pay them, making them an independent contractor, basically, so the town gets out of the employee business as far as the roads are concerned. So that's one thought. And getting out of that, we don't have employees. We don't have to worry about the drug policy. We don't have to worry about workman's comp or any of that. So we came up with a wage schedule that pretty much added everything in that we normally would pay, because it still needs to be a paid item, but not necessarily as a separate item for us. The other way to do it is the way we've been doing it for the last, I don't know, 30 years, whatever it may be. And that is that they are employees of the town. They drive a contractor's truck, but there are employees. I've struggled with this back and forth. We did have a meeting with the 2 road commissioners last Friday night. It was a Zoom meeting. It was aired, it was advertised, and it was legal. They are not in favor of it, but for different reasons. I've banged this back and forth myself. I like the idea of not having the employees and getting away from it, but I don't know if this year is the year to do it. And I've said that before. I'm thinking next year might be a better year to do it. One thing in particular, one of our road commissioners is actually an employee, not an elected road commissioner. That would be District 2, I believe. So he was appointed by us after an elected one stepped down. And from what we can understand, he is an employee, not a elected official. So I don't know if it's the time to change the way we pay his guys and whatnot. I don't even know if it's legal as far as him being being an employee versus a voted, an elected official. So that's where I'm bouncing back and forth from on this. So I'm just thinking next year might be the better year. Look at these a little more. We've pretty much we've gone through these rates over and over. We started this back in late February, very early March, and then we ended up with where we are today with the covert situation. So, so that's my thoughts. I guess I'll go to Kim next.
I last week really was thinking we should put it off. But if we do that, we've got a lot of work to do with the road crews as far as their employees and changing things and educating and making sure that they're doing everything they're supposed to be the right way, from hiring people, getting resumes to I know they're not for it, but do they really want us running their crews? I don't think they do. I know they don't. They're their crews. They want to hire their guys. They want to deal with them. I know change is hard, but I think I know Joe. I know Joe. We did hire him. I guess. Is there an issue with if we change it because he's an employee versus that hasn't come up at all. So,
can I clarify something, Kim?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Dave.
I think there's some misconceptions here. I talked to our treasurer today, and I feel there's some misunderstanding here. Okay, Joe is an employee. Technically, Will is an employee when he's getting paid by the hour, but he is. I know he is an elected official, but when he's being paid, he's still on the books as an employee. Okay, and why I know that's because 10 years of doing it, plus I have to run. I had to be under the same personnel policy stuff as an employee would be, but by doing this, Joe still is an employee. Nothing changes at all. Will and Joe would still be paid as employees. The only difference is instead of paying their help, their company, because when you write their check out to Once Again Farm or Laterno Earthworks, that, okay, that's their company. So all this does is make it so that the employees they have, if they're working for Earthworks or Once Again Farm, okay, they're going to be paid by them. And now we're not talking about FR Carroll. We're not talking about tree guys. They're not responsible. Those checks would be still sent to those contractors. The people that say I'll use myself. Say I was road commissioner and I hire out a truck. Okay, if I hire out a subcontractor, which we have a bunch, and we hire out that subcontractor, he's going to get a separate check from the town of Acton. It's not going to be funneled through the road commissioners. The road commissioners. The misconception here is the road commissioner does not have to own a piece of equipment in the town of Acton. Their job is to delegate and get the work done. So what I'm doing here is I'm giving the road commissioners an out, and I don't believe they think that, but I'm giving them an out. We haven't had any of the MMA stuff done. Some of them have, not everybody, and we've allowed it. I remember when I was road commissioner, we were allowed one time if we were plowing and we needed a driver that driver could not drive until he did the drug policy, he did all the background stuff, da 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 da. Okay, that would be on the contractor. Whoever owns the truck, that's who it's on. You know, we don't have to worry about sending out the resumes like Kim said. Okay, when I was road commissioner, one reason that I got all ticked off was we had an issue on who was getting paid what, whose decision it was. Come to find out, it wasn't my decision. Then if I laid them off, it wasn't my decision to lay them off, or I couldn't fire anybody without having the 3 strikes and you're out rule. So by continuing on this path that we're in, you know, the road commissioners have to abide by our personnel policy. And I believe this is a way to let the road commissioners do their jobs and not have to worry about it. We took the rates, we added all this stuff in there, and you know, believe it or not, some of the stuff there I disagreed with because we raised the rates up to match up with state rates and this and that. And this gives the road commissioners the powers to pay their employees what they feel they need to be paid. And right now, a new employee comes in, I highly doubt that anybody on this committee is just going to say, pay him the top dollar just because, you know, he's a good guy. You know, we have to have reasons. And it wouldn't be fair to any other department in the town of Acton to say, you know, the road department's allowed to give $2 and $3 raises when everybody else is getting 3%. So, you know, this is not incurring a huge impact on these road commissioners because I believe they have employees already. And that's another thing. You know, when I was road commissioner, I had a workman's comp and everything. I was covered. So if one of my guys got hurt, I don't want to have to think that down the road. I'm not saying these guys don't have it. I'm just saying an example that, you know, someone gets hurt, they're not on a town job, but they don't have workman's comp. You know, I don't want to see them down at occupational health. Yeah, I got hurt pounding a sign or something. You know, I just don't want to see that. We got to have a separation here, and this is how you do your separation. Timing. When we did this at the time, I wouldn't have continued on with it if I thought this was going to be a dead duck. And I know we got COVID and all that, but MMA gave you guys an opinion back when I was road commissioner. Because remember, I tried it when I was road commissioner, so this isn't a new idea of mine. This is what I wanted when I was road commissioner because of the issues that I had. I had an issue with people driving private individuals' trucks as town employees. I had an issue with my guys having to get a drug test through my company and then having to get the same drug test through the town of Acton to drive the same truck. That's law. Whoever the employer is responsible for that. I had the issue with the hiring, firing, the raises, this and that. This was all stuff that I came up with when I was road commissioner. So I honestly think this is a benefit to the road commissioners. They don't know it. They don't think so, but I do believe so. And it gives them free reign to hire whoever they want, fire whoever they want, and pay what they want. And it takes a liability from the town of Acton away, because you jump in one of my trucks, you drive down the road, tire comes off it, and the guy driving that truck was supposed to have done a pre-trip inspection on that truck. Now when he does that, he's a town employee now. Tire comes off, takes the car out, who's responsible? The guy driving the truck. He's just as responsible as the guy who owns the truck because he was supposed to have done his pre-trip inspection. That puts us in a liability. We don't own this equipment. That's why I introduced this, and I believe it's fair. But I mean, that is what it is, and that's it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we all set our piece on it. So I guess this is really the only thing we have to make a decision. Well, we got to make a decision on the whole warrant, but this was the only one that we had a discrepancy on. So I guess I'm going to call for a motion on Article 38 as to how we want to, whether we want to leave it the way it's written, with them being non-employees, or do we want to go to Exhibit A, which reverts it back to the way it's always been in the past. I guess there's no other good way of wording that. So I guess I need a motion from either one of you two. Kim or Dave, I just need a
I'll make
motion.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to make a motion,
Yep.
what to say. Go ahead, Dave.
Either utilize Exhibit A or leave it as written under
Right,
Article
or approve it as
38.
written.
Utilize.
And if we, I make a motion, we utilize Exhibit A. That's the new one, right?
No,
No.
Exhibit A goes back
No.
to the,
No,
38.
Exhibit B.
no.
You want it as written.
I lost my
You
page
wanna-
here.
David, you want to approve Article 38 as written. That's as independent contractors.
Yes.
Okay,
You want me to remake the motion?
yeah, just give me a clear one, please.
Make a motion, we put forward Article 38 as written.
Yep, as
As,
they're in,
well, you
they're
can't really say
independent
independent.
contractors, correct?
because the road commissioner is still going to be employees, so I don't know how you do that.
Yeah, it's okay. Just as written works.
As written.
38 is written. Do I hear a second?
I'm going to second that.
Okay, moved and seconded to approve Article 38 as written. Any further discussion? Call for a vote. All in favor? Kim?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
And I'm going to be the odd man out and vote now. So, but nothing against anybody. It's just the way I feel on it. So, okay. So, Article 38 stands the way it is written. So if it's approved by the town meeting, then that's the way it'll go. So,
So can I just intervene and
Sure.
ask a quick question? Michelle, so we will need the board to make a policy effective July 1, correct? To swap them over, or what do you think?
We're definitely gonna have to do some work, do a workshop on this. You're gonna need a policy, and we're also gonna need some guidelines on how they need to submit things for their
What's that?
for the billing. We're gonna need to come up with some guidelines on how they submit for billing, where we're not paying an employee. We wouldn't be paying an employee directly anymore, and the employees that are on the books now will have to be notified as well, because they'll no longer be our employees.
right.
Now, for
with
the
that,
sake, I'm sorry.
is that going to be effective July 1st, or is that going to be effective after town meeting?
After town meeting, sorry.
It's going to be after town meeting.
Habit.
Yeah. That's
So
okay.
is there anything as far as the voter, sorry, Ed, is there anything as far as the voter? I mean, because if a voter isn't following or doesn't understand that these rates have changed based on that, I'm just a regular voter. I see BACO last year of 44.80 and now it goes to 71.81. We've got to find a way to get the word out to the voter that the intent of this article is to make them independent contractors so that they don't think they're just getting a $30 increase and the budget gets voted down.
Right.
I think we could do that under a statement of fact, couldn't we? In the article, at the end of the article, it's not part of the article, but it
Well,
would be,
we'd have to be careful on how you write it, because it can't be, there's nothing that can be influential to the voter,
right.
okay, on the ballot.
Just rely on the public hearing. I mean,
Yeah,
there's no real
that's a good idea.
way of doing it.
And I believe if anybody looks at it, and they're going to notice there's been changes to this whole thing. I mean, you don't have, the operator's rate. You don't have all those rates in there. And then when you've got the equipment with operator, obviously, if you put two side by side, you probably figure it out pretty quick. But obviously, the public meeting there would be something we want to have to emphasize. There's a change here. It's not the one thing that most people really got to understand, that it's not a huge change. These rates were being paid. It was just being paid differently.
Correct.
Most of these rates that's what we were paying, but we weren't. The operator was paid separately, and all that other stuff was already included. So, but we just have to emphasize that at town meeting.
Yep.
Well, at the, what do you want to call
Public
it?
hearing.
Public hearing, thank you.
Okay. Okay.
So the
That
rest
takes
of
care of
Article
that.
38, the rest of Article 38 is fine as far as the town furnishing, the cost of operations, all that's fine. We're approving it as written 2-1.
That's how it went.
Okay.
Okay. Now, social services.
What article is that? Here we go.
So Article 44. So just for a little bit of clarity, because David and I talked about this earlier today when I called you. So I think it was about 3 years ago, Michelle, that originally they used to be all in one article, similar to how you see it on 44. And there was a motion that was made on town floor to move money from one to the other. May Municipal gave us an opinion after the fact that it was gray on the motions that were made, shouldn't have been allowed. Long story short, essentially the year after and every year thereafter, we have made each social service their own warrant article. So that's how it's been the last at least 3 years, I think. It wasn't until you decided to go to secret ballot that we're trying to consolidate this together some for the sake of not exhausting the voter. So you've got some options here. So obviously you could leave 44 the way that it is. You could itemize them all out. Or you can look at what we have as Exhibit B in your packet. This is just something that literally was put together. It can be changed. It's we're at your mercy. But essentially what we did is we took the list of donations and we tried to tie together like donations, if you will. So it's easiest starting at the bottom. If you look at Exhibit B, you've got the Acton Wakefield Watershed, the Acton Chaplain Youth Corps, you've got the Balch Lake and the Great East Lake. Those are all water related. So we tied those together in one. The other two weren't quite as easy as far as similar services. If you can see the first one, 44, the food pantry, Red Cross, visiting nurse, Caring Unlimited, Kids Free to Grow, Lifelight, sexual assault, Maine Agency on Area on Aging, the shelter, and community action. And then the middle one was the Historical Society, Public Library, the Veterans Memorial, and the Tracton Center. I think that when Michelle was separating these out, it was how they benefit people, right? Michelle, was the idea?
Right. Yeah. The top selection being they're offering critical services to the community.
So just a couple of options. Thought you guys could talk it out and see what you wanted, or we can leave it all lumped together.
I
I
guess,
like this.
Kim, go ahead.
I was going to say, I like this. It's not too overwhelming. Just
Dave?
kind of reading through it now.
Kim, so you like what they just broke up, is that what you're saying?
It's not individually broken up, but I mean, it's still.
Takes one article and moves it into 3 different groups.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Three
And
different
I
articles.
I mean, originally when I was looking at it, and I discussed it today with Jennifer, was what I was worried about. The only way you could do this fairly, and I don't want to do this, I'm not going there, but is to do it independently, and we don't want to do that because we can't, and we got to condense. But what I'm worried about is if you cluster a group together and there's one there that stands out and people don't like it, the other ones get hit. But I guess if you leave it all there, the same thing happens. So I guess.
I wonder if it would be safer to just keep them all lumped as one.
I personally like it broken into the 3 groups.
Yeah.
I think it's, I don't know, I think just
I don't care
about
one way
it,
or another,
Yeah, I think it looks better just broken out this way. It keeps like kind together. So, yeah.
For some reason I can't find that. I don't have it in my packet. Was it in the packet where you broke it up?
Yep.
Or where am I missing it?
Exhibit B, it says. It would have been right after your Exhibit A. At the end of the warrant, there should have been 2 exhibits.
Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, okay, yeah.
I'll send you a picture
That's why
real
I was
quick.
confused. I didn't go all the way to the back earlier. Okay.
It's organized. Just saying.
Yeah, well, I got papers all over the place here. So,
So basically, like Jennifer explained, you've got critical services first under Article 44. Then you have Library, Historical Society, Southern Maine
Yeah.
Vet, and then you have the water under Article 46.
after seeing it broke up, I think Kim's right. It's not quite as, wham in your face,
Yep.
I think it's a good idea.
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay. So, any further discussion, or do I hear a motion to, I guess, we were originally, Article 44, to make Article 44, or, I don't know, how do you want to, what's the best way to explain it?
Well, we're gonna-
I make a motion to accept example
You don't have
B.
to make a you don't have to make a motion right yet, because we're gonna do an order in the end. So as long as we know,
Okay.
Michelle and I are following along, we'll guide you here in the end.
Okay.
All right. So Michelle, we're good with that. We're gonna leave those the way they are. We're gonna separate those out. All right. So now we need you to look at what is going to be considered the old Article 47. So the very last
Okay,
page.
47.
Last page. Huh.
See if the town will vote to raise $20,372 and appropriate $23,972 for operations of the Recreation Department, with $3,000 coming from anticipated revenue, and to lapse any used funds to the Recreation Capital Improvement Fund.
So this number
Or
was
am I
50,
missing this?
page 11, last page of the warrant.
Yeah, okay, yeah, there we go. I'm on it.
So last night, the anticipated revenue was 5,600, Michelle?
Correct.
And after the workshop that Michelle and I and Kim had with the rec committee, based on everything going on with COVID and obviously them not having baseball right now, and based on, current year's revenues, we don't know what's going to happen. So that number was reduced from 5,600 to 3,000. That was, they felt like $1,000 per sport was something they could obtain. And if for some reason they didn't, then obviously they, won't have that much to spend in the end. But so the raising amount was increased by 2,600. The revenue was decreased by 2,600.
Okay. We don't need a vote on this one right yet?
No, we wanted to just point that out.
Okay, very good. Nope, I think that looks okay.
Anything else, Michelle?
No, I don't think we talked about any other change.
Okay. So Article 47, okay. So really, the only changes we have is 44, 45, and 46. And then whatever we did over on, well, the other one goes as written, so.
So is the Board of Selectmen, are they prepared to make recommendations as a whole on these warrant articles? Do we have, so if we go to the very beginning of the warrant.
Mhm.
All right, so obviously 1, 2, and 3 you're not making recommendations on. So can we get a recommendation on Article 4? Which is the
Four.
fire truck?
This is the new tank truck.
So you need a recommendation to accept Article 4. And
Yes.
then, do I need to read out all of it again?
No,
Probably.
you can just approve the article as written if that's your wish.
Okay, so I would want to make a motion to approve Article 4
As written,
As written.
as written. Sorry.
I'll second that.
moved and seconded to approve Article 4 as written. Any further discussion? Call for a vote. Kim?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
So before we get any further, I just want to talk to Michelle for a second. So, Michelle, if we ask them to order to
We lost you.
Oop, was that better?
Yep.
Okay. So, Michelle, here's my thought. Think it out with me here. So, if we ask them to sign or to make a vote for a formal order to make sure we hit that 60 days for the town meeting for articles, let's just say 1 through, it'll be what, 52 as written, or 1 through 52, just for an official vote for the order. That leaves Monday, and we have them do their recommendations next week. If the Warren and Finance, because one of the members indicated that he had some wording concerns, and if we give them until their next meeting Monday to point out any wording concerns they have, the board wouldn't have to re-vote on recommendations. You know what I mean?
Right.
So does that make sense to the board? If you were in the last Warren and Finance meeting, there were a couple of members that had concerns with the wording of the article. And of course, Michelle and I have proved this numerous times, but we are human. So if there is a typo or there's an error in there and you make all your recommendations as written, we're not going to be able to change those. Do you know what I mean? So if we want to, to let them have Monday, I can send out an email and say, if you have wording changes, because obviously I don't think the numbers are changing, but if you have any wording issues, please bring those up Monday, because Wednesday the board will be making all the recommendations.
Yep,
That makes sense.
understood.
So all we actually need tonight, and I feel like you did this to some extent, but I just want to make sure we've covered the law precisely, is in Maine Municipal's latest email, they say that a minimum of 60 days before you must sign an order calling for a secret ballot referendum.
Yep.
So that order, so whoever makes that motion, that order will include all of the school and annual town meeting warrant articles. And we'll have that drafted for you to sign.
Okay,
But at least the motion will have been made within the 60, more than 60 days.
right. So tonight you need a motion to,
Motion to sign an order calling for a secret ballot referendum for the school and municipal warrant articles.
okay. Do I hear a motion?
So we want to make a motion to sign an order for secret ballot, and what was the rest of it?
Calling for a secret ballot referendum for all of these school and town, what would it be, 2021 warrant articles.
Did you get that, David?
July. I can't remember that much. So we need a motion.
Call an order.
Call an order.
Secret ballot.
Let's see here. I'll write it down here.
Yeah, that's what I'm
One
doing.
more time, Jen.
Hold
I
on.
have to write that down to get it right, I guess. I don't want to screw this
She
up.
can just spit it right out. Yeah.
Hold on.
Call an order.
So call an order of a secret ballot for the July 14th meeting for the school and town budget. Is that close enough?
Yeah, close enough.
Okay,
I'll
do I hear a
second
second?
that.
Okay. Moved and seconded to
second
call
that.
an order. Yep, moved and seconded to call an order for a secret ballot for the school and town warrant articles for fiscal year 2020-21.
Yep,
Yep.
and just to be voted on, the voted date that David said, July 14th.
Yep, July 14th. Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, do I call for a vote? Kim?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Okay. Order has been voted upon. Recommendations we will do next week,
Yep.
correct? Okay,
Yes.
Yep.
okay. Okay, Square Pond grant letter.
So last week I gave you an email that Betty Smith sent asking if you guys would support the grants in regards to what they're looking at doing. I'm trying to find it right now. And I was hoping, I think Miss Bergeron left us, she can fill you in a little bit from the Shapley side, because that's something that they've done. Oh, okay. Do you mind, Carla? So that,
Can you fill us in just a little bit from the Shapley side as far as what exactly, the letter of support that we did from Shapley, what she's looking for from Acton?
Right, there's actually two letters. One is from Acton Shapley Youth Corps, Betty, and there's a second one that Jen Harris is looking for. But this is for phase 2, which isn't going to take place until 2021. And Shapley voted up to, don't quote me, but I think it's up to like 13,000. We approved that at our March meeting, but those funds are going to be for next year. And this is for erosion, water control.
The letter of support doesn't tie the board to anything.
No, it's just a letter of support.
Correct.
It doesn't say that you're going to donate X amount of hours or time or dollars. Shapley's letter is different because the voters have already approved it. What?
Right. As far as I know, they're not asking Acton to put anything on a warrant article. No one came to us asking for any funds. So I guess that's why I was
It might be more Shapley that had that, Jen.
What was the purpose of the letter then? To help them apply for grants? Right. Okay.
I think Betty needed a letter from town of Shapley and Acton in support of approving the grant.
I think they were intending on using the 22,000 for the youth corps, that money that we raised there.
That in addition to what we raised in March.
Yeah, and so we have that 22,000 on our warrant here in Acton too.
Yep. And Betty represents them.
Dave, you had a question?
Yeah, I haven't had time to go through the whole thing yet, but one thing that just caught my attention here, make sure I'm on the right one. Yeah, okay. We have identified the large town road sites that we would like to include in the grant. Okay, this is for you guys in Shapley. Is this okay? And you guys are going to do like a 50-50 with them on those?
It actually ended up being less than that because Mousom Lake Association donated some money and they got private funds from some other people. So we are doing a match, but it's not 50-50.
Okay. So if we commit into this, we'll be able to get some of this grant. The only problem is we didn't commit money for it, but I mean the road commissioners have their budgets anyways. So
right,
I mean theoretically, at the end of the day, they would be able to, as long as they got the money for it, they could commit to this.
Right. It doesn't have to be financial. It can also be in kind, like manually working, using their equipment, things like that. But you're also going to use some of the Acton Shapley Youth Corps money too. Yeah,
I see Wakefield, when I was assistant over there, they did the same thing. They got a grant, and what the town did over there was they ran the equipment and then they paid for everything else. It was a 50-50. That's how they did it. It worked out pretty good because you didn't have to worry about having a separate line item budget just for that.
Exactly. And the deadline for the grant submission is Friday.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, as long as we're not tied to anything, because we cannot, as we all know, we can't encumber the town in any way. But we can definitely do it with support. You know, we can say, yes, we support this, but doesn't mean they're going to get a dime out of this.
Right.
So, yep. You need a vote on that, on that, Jennifer, or just?
No, we'll just put something together.
Okay.
Yep, and I'll make sure they know there's nothing fiduciary tied to it.
Right. Okay. Very good. So that's a Square Pond letter. So nothing else under old business. New business. We have the 2020 lawn care.
So the lawn care contract that we're currently in runs from May to October. Last year, the Board of Selectmen chose not to go back out to bid because the contractor that we were using did agree to stay at the same rate. We go out to bid essentially every year. For the most part, we get 2 or 3. Even when the individual that we currently have wasn't low bid, the town stayed with him because of the excellent work that he did, and him being a local Acton resident. You guys like to keep the business in town. So I'm just reaching out to you to ask you what direction you want me to go in. I did speak to the company. He's agreed to leave it at the $4,700 that it was at for the last 2 years. So that offer is there if you don't want to go back out to bid because it is under 5,000, or if you want to see what's out there, we can prepare something for next week.
I feel he's done a good job. And we have gone out before. Every few years, you probably should go out to bid. I don't know if this is a good year to do it. I'd be happy if we kept the same contractor.
Yeah, he's not going up or anything, and
No.
he does a good job. There's no complaints, right? I mean, everybody seems,
Dave?
maybe we could,
Oh, sorry.
Don't fix it if it ain't broken.
Okay.
So I think he's doing a good job.
Yep.
I was always a fan of, when people hold their number and they do a good job. The problem is you put it out to bid and the number goes up and they're like, man, we wish we had our old guy back, So
We actually did that.
Yeah.
We did that one year on our propane thing.
Yeah.
We had a really good price. We went out to bid, and
Yep.
that was the end of our really good price. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he does a good job. So he's in town. I really like to stick with him there if we can.
yeah. You need a motion on that?
Please, yes. So it's 4,700 for the 2020 season.
Okay. Stay with
I make a
that.
motion that we hold, we keep the, we hold the 4,700 for the groundkeeping for the year of 2020-21. Is that correct?
Yeah, you want to just announce the company that you're awarding it to for the record?
Ham's Property Maintenance,
Thank you.
And it's just 2020.
2020, okay.
Okay. Do I hear
I'll
a second?
second that. I'll second that.
Moved and seconded to to approve Ham's property maintenance, the lawn care for 2020 for the cost of $4,700. Same price it's been for the last couple of years. Any further discussion? Call for a vote. Kim?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
And I vote yes. So, okay, 3-0. Very good. Transfer station hire.
So, literally, I think the last day the town hall was open before COVID, before we shut down, March 15th, 16th, the superintendent of the transfer station and myself interviewed 5 individuals for the position that's open at the transfer station. This position is supposed to be from May to October. And like I said, Bob and I interviewed 5 people. We took separate notes, and when we were done, we chose our top 3 and compared notes, and it was identical. So normally what would happen then is that we would reach out to the liaison, and we would ask the liaison to sit in on the top couple of 2 interviews and see if they felt the same way. We've got a little different trying times now. So I guess I'm reaching out to you. It is May. Things are starting to open back up. Mr. Mann is ready to bring the new individual in. I have spoken to the prospective employee, and he is interested in the position. We've talked rates. Everything seems to be good. We did background checks, everything that we would normally do. And again, remember, it was the superintendent's top choice. So I'm looking for some direction, either an approval to hire him. Obviously, he'll be probationary, and we'll give it a shot and see where it goes. Or if you'd like, certainly we could set up additional interviews.
I think I'll leave this up, if it's okay, leave it up to the decision of the liaison, if you're okay with our superintendent's
Typically,
decision.
I'd like to, same thing with the fire department, but we're in a little bit different time, and I believe that if Bob and our town administrator, come up with the same views and opinions, I think that's probably be an exception. I just roll with what you guys decide.
Okay.
Hire.
Yep. Okay.
I don't think doing a Zoom meeting, doing an interview, for job interviews, is really going to be productive.
No. Okay. Do you want to vote on it, Jennifer, or do you want just our approval that?
No, I would say we make a motion. I believe, and I've lost Carl. I believe. His name should go on the record, correct, Michelle?
Yeah.
I would say, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So the individual's name is Jeff Mowry.
Okay. Okay. Do I hear a motion to hire Jeff Mowry for the transfer station pursuant to our personnel policy?
I make a motion, we hire Jeff Mowry to the transfer station under the personnel policy.
And I'll second that.
Moved and seconded to hire Jeff Mowry for the transfer station. Any further discussion? Call for a vote. Kim?
Yes?
Dave?
Nope.
No?
Is there further discussion or are we voting?
I asked for discussion. Nobody said anything.
Oh, okay. It broke up there for a second.
Oh, okay. Yep. So it's a vote. Kim voted yes. Your turn.
Yes.
Okay. And I'll vote yes. So 3-0. Yep. We're all set to hire.
Well,
Okay.
congratulations and welcome, Jeff
Yes.
Murray.
Exactly. Order to call a referendum election. Didn't we already just do this?
You did.
Yeah.
My agenda was mixed into all of my papers.
Okay.
I just don't want to. I didn't want to miss it, but yeah, we've officially done it. Thank you.
Okay. That's
Yeah,
all
don't
right.
make me do that twice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Reopening of the library.
So this is just an FYI. I did hear from the librarian today, and she let me know that the trustees had a meeting last night, and they are taking the direction from the governor as far as what they can do and how they can reopen. So more just informational for you. I'll just give you the couple stages because it's fairly lengthy, but it's in your packet. So stage 1, which they're having a targeted open day of Wednesday, June 3rd. Entry for 30 minutes. Computer use with an appointment and mask, curbside pickup for all borrowing of materials. Stage 2, which they're looking at July 1st, open to the public with a limit of no more than 3 people in the library at any one time, 1 staff, 2 patrons. Patrons must wear a mask. And then 3, which is the target date of August 5th, programming resumes with restrictions. And then the next stage really is going to depend on what happens with the state and COVID. So, but it looks like they'll be opening up at least part-time in June here, and we'll try to help them get that advertised.
Okay. Sounds good. Thanks. Okay. Rcc appointment.
So in your packet, you should have, you have a certificate, but you also have, what I wanted to point out to you first was an email that was sent out on February 21st. From Keisha Garnett. We correspond back and forth. She's on the Saco River Corridor Commission. If you skip over back to the great news. So this was back in February, really hoping to seek out some representation from Acton on the board. Wondering if maybe you could put it out there on the website. Acton has 2 empty seats. We have a new mapping system that doesn't have anything to do with that. But so for a few months now, they've had some openings on this Saco River. It was running on the website. We had a slide on it. We did get some interest from an Acton property owner. I think I sent you he sent me, Jennifer, just a brief email, put into writing his interest in serving on the Saco River. And unfortunately, he says he had a commitment this evening, but he does give you some of his background regarding this. It says he's trained as a scientist with degrees in chemistry and toxicology, worked in both research and management of drug discovery and drug safety. Served in volunteer roles. He served on Gilia board, which is another water, as treasurer and president. He also served on AWA. Finally, have been helping the York County Invasive Aquatic Species Project with its efforts to reduce and eliminate milfoil. So certainly sounds like this is right up his alley as far as Saco River. I'm not going to release the name unless you decide that's a direction you want to go in. That's the information.
Okay. Okay.
You guys both have it with the name. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Kim and David, you have. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know who it is.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep. I wonder if he can come up with a cure for COVID. See,
He's a smart dude. I know him. Yeah.
drugs
Yeah,
and
it's
whatnot. So it sounds like a very smart individual. I think we'd be happy to have him on here. Yeah, I have no issues at all. Either one of you two have any issues with him?
He's well qualified, so.
No, I have a.
it's-
Dave, any issues with him?
Yeah, I mean he's over.
No?
The only question I have is, do you have to be for us to appoint him? Does he have to be a resident of the town of Acton?
I'm going to go out on a limb and say no for this one because I mean they're well aware. She sent me his name and
Okay.
I'm not
Good,
seeing
good.
anything in this
I just
appointment
wanted
that
to make sure
requires
that we
that.
weren't appointing.
Right, yeah, because
Okay, I just
that's
wanted to
why I
make sure
said
we weren't
property,
appointing somebody
yeah,
we weren't allowed to.
right, he's a property owner, that's why I
Yeah,
indicated property owner,
Okay,
yeah,
property owner, but not a resident.
right,
Okay.
right.
Okay.
For
That-
this one, I mean, some of your boards and committees you do, I can't find anything that requires this one too,
Okay.
but if you want, I can get legal advice, because I can't be 100% sure.
No, I think we're all set, personally.
Okay,
Okay. I guess I'll read the certificate of appointment, and it's up to you two to make a motion on it. So, certificate of appointment. Selectman's Office, Municipality of Acton. 2, Charles Crespi of Acton in the County of York, in the State of Maine. There being a vacancy in the position of the Saco River Corridor Commission, the Selectmen of the Municipality of Acton do, in accordance with the provisions of the laws of the State of Maine, hereby appoint you as Saco River Corridor Commission member within and for the Municipality of Acton. Such appointment to be effective until November 1st, 2021. Given under our hand this 13th day of May, 2020. Do I hear a motion?
Make a motion to approve Charles Crespi, I guess certificate of appointment, Title 38 MRSA. And what else will we put in here?
What
I
we're
guess we're
appointing
gonna
to.
appointing to the Saco River Corridor Commissioner member within and for the Municipality of Acton. And that'll be effective through November 1st, 2021.
Seconded by?
I'll second that.
Okay, moved and seconded to appoint Charles Crespi to the Saco River Corridor Commission for the town of Acton. Any further discussion? Call for a vote. Kim?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Okay. Very good. We will be in to sign those.
thank you. They'll be in with the warrants.
Thanks.
So if I can go back to the warrant just for a quick second, so I just wanted to point this out so you know the email that I'm sending out. So Michelle mentioned at the last warrant and finance meeting that the budget books were ready to be picked up. They have their next meeting scheduled on Monday with the rec committee and with the road commissioners. They have added a meeting on the 18th in which they've requested that Michelle, myself, and the CEO, along with the Board of Selectmen, attend to go over that budget. We had 3 members of the Warrant and Finance come get their books. So for those 3 members, the treasurer and I have offered to drive over this updated warrants to their house to make sure they have it in hand tomorrow. And then the other 4, we're going to assume they need those budget books, so we'll be able to put the updated warrant in there. So I'll send out that email tomorrow.
Sounds good. Can't do much more than that.
Awesome.
Okay. Anything on the public comment?
No, the only letter I got was from Mr. Murray that we already read.
Okay. Sounds great. As we had stated in the past, if you have anything for public comment, please email it to town administrator by 3 o'clock of the day of the meeting, which is every Wednesday, until we get back to doing something normal here and be able to take public comment in person. So we do welcome any public comments that anyone has. So
Yep.
Announcements? Don't have any?
No, so we've got the meeting Monday, Warrant and Finance, Thursday, 5:30 Planning Board, 6:30 Warrant and Finance, then the following Tuesday, Warrant and Finance.
Okay. Sounds good. Anything from you, Kim?
I'm good.
Dave, anything? Brief?
No, all good.
Sorry. Okay, thanks. Michelle? Nothing for
I
us?
think we covered it.
Okay, Jennifer? No? Good.
Yes, sir.
I must say I do like seeing all this on the screen so I can see who everybody is. Keeps my brain going right. Okay, yeah, we don't have anything else. I just want to say to everyone in town, be safe, follow the rules. It's been a strain on everyone, from your pets, as I was reminded tonight. Those that have new pets, you're not getting your dog socialized. So it's just something that you'll see on Facebook here pretty soon. To the kids, don't forget your kids. They've gone through quite a time with this, from not being socialized there in school. People are social animals. It's been a big toll on them. Families, husbands, wives, and everyone in town. So keep the faith, stay strong, stay healthy, and we'll get through this. We will. It's looking, there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and it's not a train. So things are looking pretty good, I think. It's working. So with that, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn our selectmen's meeting for May 13th.
That's enough. Dave,
I'll second that.
moved and seconded to adjourn. All those in
Ready to
favor?
go.
All opposed? Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Nighty night.